Okay. Good evening. I call to order the meeting of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee on Thursday, May 21st, 2026 at 7 p.m. And I'd like to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on HWCam. First order of business is an opportunity for citizens' comments. We'll have an opportunity both in person and on Zoom. Eric, do we have anybody that's on Zoom?
We do not.
Not yet.
Nobody yet.
So citizens' comments are an opportunity for any citizen who wishes to speak before the committee to come and offer their thoughts. If you do want to offer a comment, I ask you to please identify yourself and please spell your last name so that we can get it correct for the minutes. I ask speakers to keep your comments to 3 minutes. We will have a timer. Amy, are you willing to be the timer? Sure. And Amy will let you know when you have about 30 seconds left so that you can wrap up your comments by 3 minutes. Please know that the opportunities to citizens' comments is an opportunity for us, the committee, to listen. It's your opportunity to be heard and for us to listen. It's not a back and forth conversation. It's your chance to be heard. Okay. That being said, if there's anyone in the room who'd like to offer a citizen comment, I'd ask you to please approach the podium. Okay. Is there anyone on Zoom?
No.
Okay. Seeing none, we will close the Zoom and close citizens' comments. Next up, we have a review of a portion of our protocols. I think, is that Julia? Do you have some of that?
As elected members of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee, we, including the superintendent, accept the high honor and trust that has been placed in us to ensure that the students of the district receive the best education possible. To that end, we hereby commit to the following in the conduct of our business. A school committee meeting is a business meeting that is held in public, not a public meeting. The committee will make every effort to ensure meetings are effective and efficient.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to just do this because I think I put this over here. Oh, sure. Okay. I wouldn't have remembered which one it was otherwise. And now a portion of the school committee mission statement. Kristen.
The Hamilton Wenham Regional School District School Committee's mission is to ensure our schools create graduates with a passion for lifelong learning, together with the critical skills needed to maximize their potential. The Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee will lead and inspire a district that supports and guides the superintendent to execute and achieve the approved 2025-2026 district goals.
Thank you. Okay, next is to Eric for our superintendent's report.
Great, thank you. A lot going on as usual. This is the final week for seniors, really. They're taking their final exams and wrapping up any overdue coursework, things like that. Tonight, they are probably right now at the cruise port for their prom. They got a great night for it, a great night for pictures and things, so that's nice. Last night was our scholarship night, another great event where our community really comes out for the kids, gives lots of scholarships in varying amounts for various things. Some of them are specific to families, and others are for specific schools that kids go to, so it's a good opportunity to connect the kids with the community. And then next week it is Tuesday is one of the more fun days, I think, where Seniors Helping Seniors, our seniors who are graduating, all head out into the community to help our senior citizens for the day. And there are all kinds of things like raking and mulching and weeding. And at one point last year, I think somebody was putting an air conditioner in for somebody. So lots of good connections there. And then later on in the week, our annual candlelight, which is on Thursday evening, and always a great event. If you get a chance to come, please come. The candlelight ceremony is probably one of the more impressive things that happens through the year, and it's a really nice culminating event where there are a number of speeches by class officers and the candlelight speaker who gets chosen based on submission earlier in the year, and then there's a faculty candlelight speaker as well. So that'll be fun, and then Saturday, we kick it off on the field with graduation at 10 a.m. I saw the field set up. It's going to be fun. First time on the new fields for graduation. We're praying for 70 and sunny, and keep it let's keep it that easy. So lots going on. This is a big couple of weeks for seniors and their families and our staff. So we're looking forward to. After that, we got a few days. Countdown.
Thank you. People have questions for the superintendent? Great, thank you. Next up, we have our student representative, Anderson Kraft, to give us some updates on things going on in the district.
Thank you. So over the last month, many students across the high school have spent time taking the AP and MCAS exams. These exams have been spread out across the month and have shown the improvements in learning that students have made. The seniors wrapped up their last full day of school on May 13th, where they had a class cookout followed by the annual class walk around the middle and high school. And then after long months of exams, the seniors and juniors were able to relax tonight with their prom at the Cruiseport in Gloucester. Spring sports wrapped up at the beginning of the week with playoff brackets coming out in the next few days. And then finally, re-elections for the student council will begin in early June for next year's members. And then in the middle school, so far this week, 8th graders have been on their yearly class trip to DC. In DC, they will be able to see some of the topics that they've learned in civics class in person. Tuesday, May 12th, was the MRMS concert for band and chorus taking place in the high school auditorium. And then along with the high schoolers that have been taking MCAS, both the middle and elementary school students have been working hard to complete their MCAS over the past month. And then for the elementary school, during the past week, both the Winthrop and Cutler third grade students have taken their field trips to the Wyndham Museum on Monday and Friday respectively. And then last Monday night, the Winthrop band and chorus members had their concert in the Winthrop cafeteria. And then finally, next Friday, the Cutler fifth graders will have their yearly talent show. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. All right, does anyone have any questions for Anderson?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing the work to compile that and let us know not just about the high school, but also give us a little glimpse into the other schools. It's really helpful to hear it from a student perspective, and thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. Yeah, I was gonna say, you are
Free to go.
welcome to stay, but we also know you probably have other things to do. And Dave's worried about your computer. All right,
Thank you for having me.
thank you. Much appreciated. Okay. Next up, we have the consent agenda. This is typically composed of items that we anticipate will be non-controversial. Does anyone have any items that they'd like to hold from the consent agenda? I do, just to be difficult. I'm holding the minutes from May 7th. All right, so, Tom, can you offer a motion on the consent agenda without the minutes from May 7th?
Yes, I motion to approve the warrants listed on the consent agenda to be approved and the minutes to be held off.
Second.
Okay. All right, we got a motion and a second. There's actually more to the consent agenda, but we will, oh, that's okay, it's a learning experience, we'll do it.
Oh, double-sided
page.
today.
Yeah.
Okay.
No worries.
Usually just say, I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Minus the
With
minutes.
the
You
exception of the
minutes.
Okay.
With the exception of the minutes.
want me to redo that motion?
Easier.
Yeah,
Sure.
good.
Okay.
I rescind my second.
Yeah, there you go.
It takes a
No,
while.
and this is why, like, it's trial by fire.
The
We just- yeah.
double-sided threw me off there.
It throws you off, yeah. All right, so give it a shot. So
All right.
I move that we accept the consent agenda. Go ahead.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as outlined, minus the minutes.
Second.
Second by Amy Kunberger. All right, so there's no discussion. All those in favor? That is unanimous of the 6 members present, and the motion passes. I held the minutes from May 7th because I would like people's recollection, but if you look at the minutes, sorry, I'm pulling it up, on the part where we got the presentation about the trip. Where is that?
Bottom of page 2, top of page 3.
Yes. Regina O'Neill was here, but she did not actually give the
Correct.
presentation. It was Stacy Pawson gave the presentation.
Great pickup.
Thank you.
5 points for you.
Yeah, Regina was
Did not-
here. She was,
Yep, just not presenting.
Yep.
so,
Her name's there twice.
all right, so is there any other discussion about that? All right, anybody willing to make a motion?
I can do it. I move that we amend the minutes from May 7th, 2026 to state the proper person has presented,
Stacy Pawson,
that Stacy Pawson gave the presentation.
Second.
second by Amy Kumberger. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous of the 6 members present, and the motion passes.
Nice job, Eagle Eyes.
Thank you. I've certainly missed plenty of things, including one time someone noticed that my name was spelled wrong, and I didn't notice it, so, you know. Okay. I think next up, we have an opportunity for a presentation from the Doherty's Garage, bus transportation. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Mike Callender,
Mike.
President, General Manager of Doherty's Garage. We also have Ann Jackman here, a Hamilton resident and bus driver for Bus 4.
I'm just going to make sure everyone can hear you. Can you
Sure,
all-
let me adjust the microphone.
Yes, yeah, there's 2 factors, like whether we can hear you in the room and then whether the recording can hear you, so.
Perfect,
yeah,
thank you. I think we've got a bit of a presentation. There you can see it was quite a winter. The electric buses did just fine, but there's a picture during one of the storms. We've got a brief agenda here, just a broad update, just kind of want to share how things are going, and then Q&A for any questions you may have on your mind at the end. Just jumping into kind of at a glance, thank you for the opportunity. It was just about a year ago this committee voted to award us a contract based on electrification on an 8+2 year term. It was quite ambitious. I know there was a lot of risks. We had about 60 days to execute, but with the partnership with the school, the incredible folks that came over to Doherty's, and the team we've built, we've been quite successful, we think. So an overview: 12 elementary routes, 14 high school and middle routes, 2 in-district special education routes, 2 late runs every day except for Monday and Friday. And to date, we've completed about 240 charter trips, mostly athletics, but also field trips. So a very busy district here. A couple metrics: we were able to get 15 of the 17 electric buses deployed this year, which was way ahead of schedule. We'll get into a little bit to that later. With those electric buses, we've driven over 100,000 miles so far and displaced over 500,000 pounds of CO2, which is pretty cool. And also have not missed any charters or routes this year. We hope to continue doing so with that performance. We'll jump to the next slide, the electric bus performance. We've deployed all of the big buses, the large buses. This was through some creative procurement through our providers, the Vivo Bus Sales and International Bus Dealer, as well as Highland Electric Fleets, a Beverly-based organization. Basically found stranded units that were Massachusetts spec'd from another school district, and were able to get them here before school start, 14 of the 15. The other one came in a couple months later, so we're fully staffed, big bus plus a spare. The 2 electric minibuses for the in-district special ed are something of a special order. They'll have wheelchair tie-downs, air conditioning, so we're expecting those mid-next school year. That's still a little bit fluid.
I'm going to just interrupt you for 1 second. You got some excuse me, we got a lot of static going. All right, can we trade out for this mic here? Can we? Do that?
Read Jen's mic?
Yeah, let's see if we can do that.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to pull it that far.
I don't know if that will pull. You don't think that will go that far?
Tapes down.
Oh, yeah, no. I thought it was gonna,
I don't think it's good.
I was misunderstanding the cord there and thought we would be able to just.
You're good?
Actually, this one is connected too. So.
Still hear the sound?
Will it reach?
Figure it out. Yeah, you got plenty here.
Oh, yeah.
There we
We'll
go.
get it.
Okay. Sorry. That's okay. That's okay.
Thank you, Curtis.
Testing, no
Yep.
static.
Right,
Excellent.
thank you.
Just a couple of points of feedback and lessons learned from our first year with the electric buses. The performance and reliability has been amazing, honestly. We over-procured diesel buses expecting a lot more issues, and we honestly had more issues with the new generation of diesel buses this year, which was extremely counterintuitive and unexpected. We are using them mostly for routes, but a fair amount of charters. Basically anything in Cape Ann League, we feel comfortable at this point putting electric buses on those charters, regularly going up to Newburyport, Amesbury, and back with no performance issues. Bill Walsh, the Bus 12 driver, did want to put his claim to fame on here. He did 106 miles on a single charge the other day with AM, PM, and a midday between, and he still had 33% fuel remaining. I will say during the winter that range does decrease substantially due to the onboard heat. So we're pretty diligent about charging those between routes, making sure we always had more than enough power to get those the students back and forth. Pretty good in the snow and ice, honestly. They're a little bit heavier. The weight distribution is very low, and the torque on the EVs is pretty good. Ann's got some stories for you if you're interested. With that, we can jump to the next slide on what we think is making this successful operation. Really a strong partnership coupled with an amazing team we've assembled. The dispatch manager, Mike Powers, works in the operations office next door, and Christine Vries is the terminal manager down at the depot, working very well together to keep everyone online and communication going back and forth with the district. But the strong partnership from the district's been incredible. Early on, I say the first couple weeks, we were really getting our feet under us with the transfer routes, adjusting the routes, and making some pretty significant tweaks that I think are making the system a lot better. Stuff as easy as shifting which buses are going to which transfer schools has really streamlined it. We still have some hiccups here and there, but by and large, the afternoon elementary transfers are going quite well. We've also implemented some unique solutions like a dedicated shuttle for the rec department on early release days, because those days they swap the tiers, so elementary goes first, and it's always a little chaotic, and any way we can find to alleviate and create capacity in that system, we've been happy to do. I want to highlight the responsiveness from the principals and the admin. I can't understate how important it is for the drivers and the safety of the students for when there are student behavioral issues to have them taken seriously and addressed, and the team at Hamilton Wenham's been incredible. It really improves our reputation in the bus industry, and it makes it easy to attract and retain drivers because they feel heard and they understand that the school is really working with everybody to create the best possible environment. Shout out to the athletic department. It's a very busy schedule, also very competitive teams, the Generals are, and we have been working with them to find creative solutions to meet overlapping, very complex trips, sometimes doing 5 trips at 2:30 and 3 p.m. when routes are going. So it's been a very collaborative effort there to make sure our student athletes are getting where they need to be. 2 more shout outs. The police departments have been incredible. We had a pretty serious trend of stop arm violations early on in the year, and the Hamilton and the Wenham PDs put details behind our buses for weeks at a time, got the word out, and those have really decreased, and really appreciate their support in making this safe. And also the DPW during the crazy winter, they were out there moving snow banks so that the bus stops could be clear and safe, and visibility for the students and the drivers as well. Last slide, just a couple key initiatives we're working on. with Jen and Curtis over the spring season and summer going into next year. We are helping implement bus registrations. This will give us better insight when routing this summer of who actually wants to take the bus. In the past, we've kind of just assumed everyone's going to take the bus, and then you figure it out over the first couple weeks and trim those numbers down. We think this will be a lot more efficient, and I know Jen's doing a great job communicating with the community. And of course, we'll be working collaboratively to make sure we're not accidentally cutting off service to folks, and everyone's still getting a ride. We are also working on a parent app now that the Power Schools integration is, I believe, complete. Our routing software can create a system where parents can get notifications of when the bus is, and then we can also send communications, hey, a bus is late, or even, emergency type of communications at that point. Last piece is we are running a stop arm camera pilot. We have 3 buses with them now, and we're starting to collect that data to see what needs to happen and if it can justify a broader investment for the fleet. But we're pretty optimistic that these will help deter by keeping the violators accountable. That's the end of the presentation. We'd love to take any questions and take it wherever you guys want.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming. Thank you. People have questions?
I don't think we've ever had a presentation.
Yeah,
like I
well,
think of.
I don't know if you remember, but when we voted on this, I think we as a committee asked to have some follow-up, and so I really appreciate you coming and giving that follow-up so that we could understand how it went. It was, like you said, it was a new venture for us, and so it was really good to have that follow-up and to hear how things was. I appreciate that, and I remember that, I actually don't remember whether it was you, but people were here from Doherty's on that evening when we were voting on that, so it was a good discussion at that time, and good that you're willing to come back. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to publicly thank Mike and his team. Super responsive, anytime, any place, text, email, whatever. We reach out, boom, we get a response. The opportunities to improve just consistently keep coming. He's always looking for ways. The team's always looking for ways. How can we improve? How can we make it better? Asking questions. He and his team have been working with us even on emergency evacuation, trying to figure out in this community the best way for us all to communicate consistently without walking over any, police, fire, EMS, or anything like that. So we've been going back and forth on systems for that, how to, transition kids, where to transitions to kids to during an emergency, how those things work. So it has been, I will tell you, I had heart palpitations back when we put this on the line because it was a gamble in this area, not a lot of exposure for electric buses. Never mind the fact trying to get everything ramped up. So Doherty's pulled it off. I congratulate you for that, but also thank you for helping my heart palpitations. But it's been great. Everybody I talk to is like, this is great. It's amazing. Athletics has never had no issues with buses in the entire time I've been here, knock on wood. But it's the responsiveness and the opportunity to always have. We have Mike Powers with us every day, all day. He communicates directly with both Curtis and Jen, so there's a good connection. So keeping communication channels wide open and really doing the best we can to find improvements. I appreciate that, and I want to thank you and your company for that. It's made a big difference, and it's a huge difference from last year. So thank you.
Oh, thank you all. You took a calculated risk on electric buses and us, and we appreciate it. I just want to thank all the Doherty's team, especially the bus drivers like Ann here, who are here every school day and snow days, honestly, to make this all work. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, can we?
Absolutely, step right up.
I'm Ann Jackman, and I drove a school bus for Lamson when my daughter was small, 43 years ago. And I can't say enough about Doherty's. They're just like Lamson's. They're right on the ball, if you have an issue, it's addressed immediately. I drove for Salter for 4 years before Doherty took over, and I was in shock about how we were treated, the way that the maintenance of the vehicles were. It was really atrocious. I really felt that at some points, it was not safe. So I really applaud you for taking on this with my tax money. And I do really, really like working for Doherty's. Of course, it's in my town, and I wasn't intending on working after retiring, but this is a lot of fun, and I like it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I just have to also say, I haven't heard Lamson's bus line in so long, because that was the bus that I took when I was a kid, so.
I thought the same thing. I was like, wow, that's been a while.
Remember, there was one bus that, like, we got the special bus, it had headphones on it. It was like the coolest thing ever.
Very cool.
So funny.
Thank you all. So I do just want to say, just sort of to the committee, this is a good example of something that it was not a unanimous vote. I myself was very concerned about the level of risk that Eric just talked about, and I've talked that this is what you want when the committee as a whole makes the decision, even if you're the one that's skeptical about it, this is what you want. You want everyone to come together, and you want it to be a success. And this is, so it was a risk. I'm glad that my committee members took that risk, and we joined, and it worked out. So thank you, and thank you for coming back, because that really was important. I know when we made that decision, it was important to hear the follow-up. So thank you. And we appreciate the personal touch.
And thank you
That's great.
Thank you for driving the kids. I don't think I could do it.
Well, some days I think maybe I should.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have anything, or we're good? All right, thank you. All right, next up, we have, I'm hoping that all of you will open your calendars and look at this list, and we can,
Write all these dates in your calendar.
all these dates. So my hope is that people already had a chance to look through this. But even if you didn't, I'm going to just highlight a couple of things for you. So first, let's just start. Did anyone have, actually, I think we should probably start with a motion. We're under a motion. Tom?
You want a motion to approve?
Yeah.
The meeting scheduled for 26, 27, correct?
Yep, correct.
Yes. I move to approve the school committee meeting schedule for 2026, 2027 year.
Second.
Second by Kristen Noon. So does anyone have anything right off the bat, any date that they felt just was a conflict or a problem that they knew about already? And then we'll talk about a few things that are on here.
My only question was, is the Tuesday, January 5th
Yep.
date meant to be a Tuesday?
It is.
Okay,
So, and,
that's it.
so,
That was
no,
my only
okay, so no, great. So that's the first thing that I'm gonna, well, first thing, we talked last meeting about the August 10th workshop, so everyone should probably already have that on your calendars. And then absolutely any other date that you want to shout out. I'm going to shout out a couple of things here for you to notice, but anything else we can talk about. So Tuesday, January 5th is a Tuesday.
It's not a
and
typo.
It's not a typo.
Okay.
It is a Tuesday, and that is because of the timing for the budget vote. I'm sure how many days out we need to be from town meeting, which we have estimated to be, we're assuming on this, that town meeting is going to be on April 3rd. That is not set in stone, correct? So I don't know if you want to say more about that.
It's not set in stone. It's
But
usually the first
It's
Saturday.
typically, that's when it is.
So we have to have a little flexibility in the schedule in case it gets wound back, like Wenham, say, does it on the Thursday before, we need to still meet the regional agreement.
Right, so that's why that is a Tuesday. And then the second, or the next thing I wanted to highlight is that the February 4th meeting, and Vinnie, tell me if make sure that I'm getting this right, but the February 4th meeting, the hope is that that meeting is when we would vote the budget. And then, as people who've been on the committee before know, we've often had an extra meeting date that is labeled like if needed or in case. But in this case, we actually just have our regular meeting is the next week. So if for some reason the budget didn't pass this committee and needed something else to occur, it would occur on February 11th.
That's correct.
That's the final possible date that we could vote on a budget.
We usually do an off week vote.
Right, we usually,
out
right,
meeting
but
in
just,
case, but-
right, the way, there's two in a row there, and then we have school vacation.
A question.
Yep,
Do we also anticipate that we will have more of those, like quintuple board meetings, like woven into this?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
yes, and I don't think we have dates for those
We
yet.
haven't, because if you remember last year, we talked about changing it by a week or so, so I want to confirm with the towns.
Yeah, but we typically have two of those. One would be in the fall, and then one would be in between that January 5th date and the February 4th date.
Correct.
Okay.
So, then the next thing is, I guess I have just a note that in April, if you see the April, I don't know that this is really anything, it's just something just keeping in mind that this is all, if you're looking at your calendar, we're anticipating that town meeting would be on April 3rd, so we have a meeting on the 1st, then town meetings on the 3rd, elections would be on the 8th, and then the next meeting would be the 15th, would have new members on the 15th. But any of that matters, it's just something I was just, and that's all dependent upon the towns telling us exactly when town meeting is, so some of that could get changed, I guess, but hopefully that will be.
Yeah, we have no they have not verified the
Right.
town meetings yet.
The one thing I would say is the most potential is that hypothetically, if Wenham, I think they did a town meeting on Thursday evening, so that would conflict with our April 1st meeting, we would need to adjust if that were to occur. All right, anybody else have any other questions? We really looked at it in terms of, I don't think it hit any holidays. All right.
I think it looks good.
Look like we're ready to vote, okay.
Yep.
So the motion is, on the table is to keep these dates as presented. All right, all those in favor? That is unanimous of the 6 members present, and the motion passes. All right. Thank you for all that, Vinnie and Eric, for fighting with all of that. All right, next up, the facilities study. To you, Eric.
Okey-doke. Thank you. As you all probably remember, we have been trying to move forward from the community conversations into some development of action plan. We've taken the feedback from the community conversations, taken any feedback from outside groups that came. It was over 100 people between the two. Sat down with Vinnie, myself, and Curtis, who's here tonight, to talk about the development of the RFP that would be used to develop a study, request a study of all 6 buildings, and the way we've drafted it out in 5 different levels. So basically, the RFP would say we're looking for an architect designer who can go into each of our buildings and give us broad spectrum pricing based on 5 different levels, which gives us 30 options for the 6 buildings. I'm talking about central office as well. So these levels will be used to develop some type of plan moving forward with the community to say, okay, where's the pressure point? What is okay with the community financially? How will this work? So, for example, I'll use the Bucher next door as an example, and we're going to get 5 different pricing options for the Bucher school. First one would be just general repairs and safety. What would that cost? The second one would be ADA compliance. What would that cost? And then that would include level 1. So now level 1 and 2 get combined. Level 3, system upgrades and replacement. This is HVAC, plumbing, electrical, all the bigger systems. Level 4 would be what does renovation addition look like if that's a needed entity, and then level 5, full replacement. So we would do that for each of the buildings, and then ultimately take that information and bring that forward to the communities to help determine where the acceptable level is for moving forward with whatever type of project we're leaning into. If it's, okay, we're going to start with just doing general repairs, safety, and I'll suggest ADA compliance for all the buildings. And that's where, if in these conversations and surveys we'll do, when we get this information, we'll put surveys out and just try to get a feel for where people are so that we can bring something forward to town meeting to have people give us the vote right at town meeting on the floor, and we know which way to go forward. Also in the RFP process, we want to have a 15 to 20-year master planning document that will help coordinate that, all these 30 different price points across a 20-year span. It's something really outside of the scope of what Curtis does on a day-to-day basis. He's doing the more kind of in-your-face, short scale. This would all allow us to have a plan, integrate it with the towns, help them to see all of what we have on the table coming forward. And essentially, the work spec here is a draft work spec that Curtis and Vinnie have been working on to include in the RFP. And I wanted to just put it in front of all of you and get any feedback, thoughts about this direction moving forward. And again, I would probably do the same thing in the communities, just put it out in the communities, like, here's what we're thinking, are we in the right direction? And then get something ready for either town meeting well, I know there's one in the fall, I don't know about the second, or we wait till April. So we'll have to just determine what the next timeline would be to put something on the town meeting. That request at town meeting would be to pay for the study. And those studies range depending on what you ask for. We're asking for a fairly sizable look at our schools, an in-depth look at the schools. So they run between $200,000 and $500,000. We have a number of studies from local schools that are within that range, a couple $100,000 to, you can limit it, there's all kinds of things you can do. But I just want to make sure that we get as much information as possible so that we can continue to share it with the public. So this document attached to the memo is really the base draft for the work specification. The work specification is what tells the designer or architect what we're looking for. When they create their proposal, they use the work spec to develop their proposal, and then submit the proposal. We look at all the proposals, determine who met the specs, but also who met there are other requirements that are standard in many of our contracts, and then go forward with someone and develop a timeline for getting all this information complete. So I just wanted to put that out there to say, here's kind of the direction we figured out from the feedback that we've gotten from the community, from the public, from meetings here, and then and certainly you don't have to review it all tonight, but we are looking for feedback from the committee to be able to say, okay, yeah, this looks like a good direction, or have you thought about, or maybe think about this. So just wanted to put it out there, put it out in public so people can at least get a little taste of it. We haven't moved forward. We're not moving forward with anything yet. This is really all draft documentation, and we continue to review it and tweak it a little bit as we learn a little bit more about different things. As Curtis is experiencing right now, everything you think was going to make it to the end of the year may not. So there's a lot of things crashing earlier than we thought. So.
All right, do people have questions or comments?
I just have one question. Just want to make sure I understand the sort of the timing of when major funds would be spent on this would not be until arguably after a fall town meeting when people vote to appropriate funds for the study. So we're just getting estimates for the study at this point.
So we are going to put out a request for proposals. That request for proposal, generally, people put a limit on it, not to exceed X number of dollars. Not always, but I think that's it's a kind of a wise thing to do. That request for proposal would not go out until we were able to appropriate funding at a town meeting. So we'd go to town meeting, say, this is what we want to do, here's the proposal, this is how much it's going to cost. They would approve it. Now, that's one option. The second option is we would lean into our capital stabilization funds and just pay for it. Doesn't have to go to town meeting, it would get voted here at a public meeting, and I'll just use a number, 300,000, you have that money in the account, you could say, yes, let's get this RFP going, using the monies that we have available. The beauty of that is it speeds up the process dramatically, because I think in this case, we may have to sit on this until April town meeting, just given the fact that we just went to town meeting and asked for an override and a debt exclusion, and I think that's a prudent move in the big scheme of things. But I think this answers all the questions that came up during the process of the community conversations.
And Wenham does not always have a fall town meeting. I mean,
Correct.
Hamilton more often does, so, that doesn't help speed things up. So,
I have a comment and a question.
Yep.
Or just something to think about. My comment is, I feel like the tiers make sense in order, given what I know about facilities improvements now. Just as far as our concerns about kind of that domino effect of, triggering upgrades due to spend. So I think this is a really smart plan. And then my kind of thing to talk about or thing to keep in mind is when we choose a consultant, how do we ensure like neutrality and trust, just given all the conversations we've had about this topic? That's maybe rhetorical, but just something to think about.
No, that's an important question. I think the neutrality and trust piece comes from the group itself coming forward and really connecting with the community. Part of the RFP is you need to connect with the community.
Okay.
You need to be out there, you need to talk to the community, you're going to need to present to the community.
Okay.
I think that's a key piece to it. Sometimes school districts will just do a study. They'll just have a group come in, do a study, here's the answers. This would be something more of, these are the things we've outlined, and we started talking about that. What we wanted to have them present publicly, present at a school committee meeting, present at an outside event. So open up the doors that way, I think, is helpful.
Good.
And then it's a reputation thing. I mean, a lot of the bigger companies have a pretty strong reputation. The companies that would probably bid on this type of a project have pretty strong reputations. So, and it's the bid process.
Do you
We're
have
not
any-
selecting anybody based on what we want. We're based on this document is really how the selection comes about. Do they meet all of the expectations of the document fully or not? Is their bid the lowest? Yep, their bid's the lowest. So we don't really get to
Right.
select. But we do put enough criteria in there to be able to say, these are the things we need you to commit to pull this off. And then there's an evaluation process once the RFP comes in. And it's part of this package is an evaluation process that Vinnie would go through on opening day. They'd be due on a certain day by 2:00. They'd be read publicly. Literally, people come from these companies and sit and watch the public opening and then verify how each of the proposals would meet the expectations of the RFP.
Great.
So it's a lengthy process in itself. It takes months. And there's a lot of triggers. Each of the buildings has a different trigger level based on value.
Right.
So when you're looking at some of these just general repairs and health and safety requirements, might sneak under that compliance trigger, but as soon as you do that, you got to go to tier 2. So that's why we kind of kept those two tightly
Yeah.
together.
That's smart.
I have this is sort of piggyback on what Amy was saying about that trust level. Excuse me, while the district has never done anything sort of whole scale like this before, everything is sort of in one place. A lot of this information has been available throughout, and it's something that we have been trying to sort of go through in this process that we've been here. So, while it's really great to think about actually having all this place to as a starting point moving forward, this is the process of bidding for this is going to take the better part of a year, Then at that point, you're going to have to go through this whole thing, which is probably another year down the line, to then just get the answers to about where we need to go from there, right? So we keep pushing the maintenance that actually needs to happen. Now we're looking 5, 10, most likely 10 years plus down the line, which is something that we'd sort of tried to really emphasize last year. So in 10 years' time, there's a very good chance I'm not going to be living in this town anymore, right? And everyone at this table is going to be different. And whomever was voting in the public is going to say, I wasn't part of that study. I didn't know what was going on. And everything gets kicked down the can. Can gets kicked down the road even further, right? So that's my fear of what's going on here. I think you guys are attacking this in the right way by getting the feedback that you got from the loud voices that were coming at you. But I still have that fear, right? Because this information, we have a lot of this information, right? We know we do, and we've been trying to be very clear that we have this information. And as you said, while we've been trying to deal with it, things are falling apart, around us. And I say, even though I wasn't here from September till April, right? April wasn't a surprise. It really wasn't, right? Our budget wasn't a surprise. We saw this coming last year, right? And we tried to sort of say that. So now we're looking at, it's funny because before you even mentioned your number, I was thinking this is going about 600,000, right? Just thinking, I'm like, all right, well, you have 30 reports, right? 30 full reports. $20,000 a report isn't too outrageous to think about. So if you can get it for under that, I'd be very surprised. It is not an invaluable document, right? It's a great thing to do, but a lot of money, a lot of time, right? And in the meantime, we're literally trying to keep the lights on, right? But so I just think I would be remiss not to just at least say the silent part out loud there, right? That I understand why you're doing this, and I think it's a great solution for answering those sort of squeaky wheels. And again, it's valuable information. To have everything right there is super valuable information. However, we're not going to learn much new. We're going to cost a lot of time and money to do it for people who might not even be here, right? And then there's got to be other people who are still not going to buy into it when it's there. So I'm fully in support. While I'm supportive, I'm very hesitant at the same time because of that.
Sorry, go ahead.
If we have the data available, right? Because we've been through this before, right? I wasn't here, but been in the community for the whole trip. Are we looking at a consultant to come in, consolidate the data we already have, present it back to the community, leverage those funds we would spend on this to solve some of these emerging issues we have today, to keep the lights on, and then propose the plan at a sooner timeline? Right, if we have the data, why can't we bring a consultant
Because
in?
the community, they didn't like the data.
Well, and I'm going to let Eric answer, but we do have a significant amount of data, but not necessarily on every single school. So we have a lot of data about Cutler. We have a tremendous amount of data about Cutler, some decent data about Winthrop, less so
Right.
about some of the others. So yes, I agree with both David and Tom. I would hope that the information we already have is going to be used. We're not going to ask them to reinvent the wheel.
No,
And that's in
But they're
here.
going to want to
Yeah,
do their own
right.
thing.
Yeah,
If
no,
I'm
I
a
need-
consultant, I'm going to come in and say, I'm going to reinvent the wheel because I'm going to use my own people. I'm going to do my own evaluation. It's literally reinventing the wheel.
100%.
But part of it will be, part of the advantage will be, the Cutler School, as I think Dana just said, has the most in-depth study work done. I mean, they have site studies done, they have
Yeah.
adhesion
We spend a
studies done.
ton of
They have-
money and a ton of
they-
time on that.
Yeah, they have a crazy level of information already, not so much with the other schools. So the good part is we get information on all of our facilities, all of our buildings. You know, we're starting to build some trust back a little bit. I mean, I had those community meetings were run purposefully to just invite people in, open the doors, let people say what they need to say, and I loved it. I thought it was great, and I think a lot of people, even people who were on the no side, said, okay, thank you for doing this, because now I feel like, okay, I got involved. It spilled over into the strategic planning process, because some of those people jumped on the strategic planning committee to say, all right, I want to be part of that too. So it's opened some doors for us and made some newer connections, which, you know, and I think the reality is everybody has the understanding that things need to be done. The reality of our two communities is there is not this unlimited funding source. The unfortunate nature of Chapter 70 funding, of unrestricted government aid, and the resourcing available, even at the state level, when you start looking at, you know, how many schools get funded annually, they don't. And look at the roof. You know, you're in this long-standing cycle of, oh, your roof's not old enough, you got to wait. So, you know, looking at all of those things has been on the table at the State House. We've done a ton of work at the State House. We believe we'll see some reform for Chapter 70. We believe we'll see some reform for on the MSBA side. There is already some push to increase unrestricted government aid now. They're using supplemental funds. If I'm reading all of the documents right, if I'm coming out of the various budget meetings that are happening now. There's a commitment there. I can tell you our legislators that represent these two communities are on board and in the battle, so that's helpful. And I don't think anybody is saying don't do anything. I think there's just the level of tolerance. We still are trying to meet the needs of the community, not just the school community. And that's, I think, where I've learned in this process to be just a little more delicate and gathered in meeting all these different people, got some interesting understanding and perspective. Like, you know, the person who has lived here for 52 years and lives in the same house they brought their kids up with. It happens to be a 4-bedroom home. Their spouse passed away. They're living on Social Security, and that, as we know, Social Security does not go skyrocketing up every year. So it's a fixed income situation, and then all of a sudden you see a 6 or 8% increase on the tax size. That hurts. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think that's where, for me, taking an account and trying to use this to gauge what makes sense. There'll always be someone who says no, and that's okay, because if you may have to. But I think that through the processes we've taken since the failed vote, I think we've gained a little bit more of an understanding of, okay, we're opening things wide up, and we're trying to find some opportunities within these 5 levels to get something done. And it's not fast, like Dave said, this stuff takes time. The reality is we can speed it up by taking option 2 and using monies out of the funds we already have. You could say, all right, I'm going to put an RFP out in 30 days, put it out for another 45 days, get the bids in, and get it going within a 6-month window. But we want to commit to that. And I also want to be able to have the stable ground of having everybody in the community have a say. And it sounds kind of grandiose, but that's what they're asking for, and I think that's what I owe them anyway, and just saying, okay, yeah, you came and met me halfway. I'm willing to put this stuff out and get this information out there. So we'll send this out after, you know, this meeting, send it out to kind of general public and say, hey, give us some feedback. What do you think? What do you think about this process? And then, you know, we'll move forward.
I have a question. Thank you. I think we have to do this, and I think the data, I don't want to say it's like secondary, but I think the biggest reason to do this in my mind is to reaffirm to the community, as you're saying, that we have heard them.
Yeah.
That this is more purchasing an element of community trust and engagement. I do also think that this RFP should be run through another community conversation, because I think unless, and arguably folks could come to this meeting or read it off our agenda or what have you, but I don't think that people really do that. But I think we need to either specifically invite back the people that came to the first ones, if we know who they are, or open it up to the second one to say, okay, when we last left the scene, we did this, we wrote this report, the school committee discussed it, we decided to do this, and go through this, because I think if we don't do that, I think we run the risk of things like, well, these are the wrong tiers. Who picked these tiers? How did we decide that these were the buckets? And maybe these are like the standard facilities management tiers, but I think there has to be an element of community conversation and education about that. And I also think the question about the capitalization, using the capital stabilization fund money should potentially be brought up in a community conversation, because some people, and even myself, I'm still learning the many flavors of municipal and school district money that exist. Well, why are my taxes going up if you have $300,000 like sitting in the bank? Like, I don't necessarily know that people understand how these monies are allocated and how they can appropriately be used. So I think we've got to put this out there. I don't know about, paying for it, which road to take, but I think it needs to have a community conversation. And I also know that there's monies that we often get at the 11th hour of the school year that fall to E&D. Can those somehow be snatched to pay for this, so it doesn't fall to E&D?
Yeah, so the anything in E&Ds that you would want to put into your stabilization fund has to
Okay.
be voted by the people. So it has to go to a town meeting to.
Okay.
So if you remember the 316,000 we just put in.
Yeah.
To the stabilization fund in the last budget process, that goes before the people for vote. So yeah, you could say, we want to take everything we have in our E&D and push it into the stabilization fund. It just has to be voted at
A town meeting.
meeting.
So we're
Yep.
12 months out.
Yeah,
from-
and then once it's voted in, after July 1st, the school committee can then vote to determine how to use it, and then we report out, when we do our annual report, and we report out at town meeting as well. This is
Yeah.
how we're using it, this is what the balance is, so.
Yeah,
It's a pretty tight process.
right. But I think people don't know it. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
So they have to be reminded of it, so.
I like that idea because something about this that I'm concerned about is some feedback that we got last time was we had real numbers about the option that we chose and brought in front of town meeting with, design and engineering and costs and all that. And then the feedback was that the estimates weren't specific enough to make a decision. And I feel like this won't get us those specific numbers either. And I have qualms about pricing out this very specifics of doing all of these things, because that would cost a ton of money. So I think it might be valuable to get direct feedback from people, like, is this going to be enough to help you make a decision? And I also just want to throw out that I totally get what you're saying with pushing a timeline and feeling like this is going to take a long time, but just want to make it clear that this doesn't, if we go forward with this plan, it doesn't mean that we aren't going to do anything until, maintenance will still happen, projects will still happen. So I just want to make that clear that, we won't just sit here and wait and let things fall apart.
Right, and that's, go back to the FY '27 budget, the $600,000 in just repairs.
I know.
and Stuff that we need to fix that was added into that budget that's never existed. It's always been the first thing cut. This year, we worked to preserve that.
Right.
So Curtis is happy, but it's hard to keep up when all of a sudden, the water main broke at the Cutler for the second time, and you got to replace the whole thing.
And
And a $30,000 job goes to $350,000 or $400,000 really quickly.
Right, but again, so to be perfectly clear, I know this has to happen.
Yeah.
But I also want to put out there that as you have that time, right, you're now putting all this money into a new water main in Cutler of a building that should have been replaced. you know?
What do you
and-
see as an alternative?
What's that?
Like, what do you see as an alternative?
I don't
Oh,
at
okay.
this point. You know, it's really, it's sort of a necessary evil at this point. But, you know, but I don't think, I love the idea of sort of throwing it out there in the community. So at least we have some community support moving forward, because no matter what and how rock solid you make this, there's going to be an argument against it at some point further down the line. You know, and so the more support you can get and for, you know, when it does sort of come to fruition down the line of bringing on another project and what that project looked like, you know, to make sure there's still people here that support it, that remember today, right, when this happened, or remembers the vote from September not happening, to be able to, you know, clearly push it forward. Because again, I don't think it's going to be anyone that's sitting here.
So-
Maybe Vinny.
So, no, but I just want
Remember
to
that.
jump in and say, I actually share that fear, and at the same time, I do want to counter with saying that I actually think something like this document, much like a strategic planning document, if this were created, this, you know, were fulfilled, this plan, I think it actually, I maybe see it a little bit differently, which is that I think that's a positive when the players change, because you have something to lean on and say, this is the plan, these are the things we've planned, and the people before us did this, and that's the reason you do strategic planning, or one of the reasons you do strategic planning, so that you have something to lean on. I think, you know, if it's done well, this could be similarly useful, that it could be, you know, something to say that this is what the public can anticipate, these are the different things. So I also fear about the timeline, but I actually am more optimistic that it wouldn't be as long as you're talking. Still long, and not what I dreamed of, but I don't think it will be necessary. It doesn't have to be as long as what I think you're saying in my,
I have no problem being the board cynic.
I don't know that
We
was,
also have to think about people on the other side of the equation that are going to see this and be like, we already did this. Why are we spending all this money doing this again?
but again,
Just to appease
again,
a
but it
certain
is
group of
different,
people.
right? It
So
is.
you have to talk to those people
Yep.
too.
Yeah.
And I'm a taxpayer, and I would be very frustrated spending $600,000 on a study that we've really probably already did, and people just didn't like what we found, right? So there's that group as well that we do need to appease
But
and
to be
talk
clear, it is, there are, I mean, in other words, this is looking at all 6 buildings.
Right, but for
So-
these people, which is me.
Yeah, I know, I hear it.
Things are not going fast enough, right?
No,
Things are really going slowly. Yeah, Cutler, the water main, the parking lot, like, I mean, things like that. I just think there's a group of people that are really anxious to see some reforms and repairs, and I know you talk to them all the time, Eric. So we do have multiple groups that we need to talk to. I think you do have the answer with what you just said. Like, we owe it to the community as a whole to do this, and I think that's the messaging, but I think some people will be frustrated with this.
Yeah, I think no matter what direction you go in, you're going to have
Right.
the person who's
That's true.
frustrated or say, no, it's up to us to execute a plan that we can find that balance in. And part of the you know, in my 5th year here, and one of the things I've always said is, I walked into my office and had all these studies on my shelf that have never been executed, maybe not opened by other people other than some of us, which is terrible. And that's a, you know, that's something I'm trying to kind of right that wrong by saying, if we're going to do this, I'm going to make sure we execute something and get the ball moving forward. And you know, we've hit some roadblocks, and that's okay. That's part of the learning process and the growth process for the community. And I think even though it didn't go the way we wanted to, a lot of people got involved, a lot more. I don't know if we set records at town meetings, but people are aware, people understand, and people really dug into it. There were some passionate people on both sides that dug in deep, and I think that's up to us to leverage that and move something forward so that we can start to see that change that we're all wishing and hoping for on behalf of our kids and our staff and their buildings.
Okay. Can I just add one thing that's kind of more minutia in the actual document, which
Yeah.
is, Eric and I talked about this a little bit already, was that tier 1 and tier 2 there, and I think you alluded to it already, that like, it's going to be that if you do tier 1, we don't know, but we do know on some levels, you're going to trigger tier 2. There's not, that this is presented kind of as tier 1, tier 2. So it's just something that like, I think this is the way it should be. I really do. And like, I'm just worried that people are going to think, well, that's what I want, general repairs, let's do that. Realizing that rightly so, like, in my opinion, like making things ADA compliant.
Yeah, you would almost think that should be tier 1.
Is
right?
appropriate,
Yeah.
like, that's, I
S tier, right?
understand why it's written this way, but I don't know if there's anything to say there. I just want to sort of say that, like, that is, the reality is that while we haven't evaluated every single building, the reality is that in many cases,
Yeah.
the repairs are going to trigger you into tier 2.
The way you just sort of put that, I think probably just sold me a little bit more about why this needs to happen, right? Because there's a lot of information that we hold on this side of the table like that. Like, oh, okay, well, if you do this and it's going to trigger this ADA, like, yes, it should be ADA compliant already. However, it's not. And that, there is money involved, yada, 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 yada. And there's all these moving parts, right? There's all these moving parts that again, we have this knowledge of, and we can try to communicate it out, but if, it's sort of more on a personal basis where this is going to really do a good job of laying it out for everybody and having it available to everybody. And yeah, it's, again, time, it's money, not to mention the time and money we've already, sort of wasted at this point. But if that's what some people need to move forward, I mean, we need to move forward, right? And right now, without doing this, we're just gonna run into the same roadblock we ran into last year. And not that this is gonna clear the way at all, but maybe it's enough of a ramp to get over it the next time. But I do think there is all that sort of little stuff like the triggering aspect that people just don't understand, and then just like, I hate saying this out loud, but just how uncompliant some of these buildings are is embarrassing, excuse me, but again, it triggers this large dollar amount to get it all, up to code. And then for what? For a building that we're only gonna have online for another few years too, right? Like, it gets really, really difficult to start thinking that way. Like, I can actually hear when I say some of this stuff, Vinny breathing heavier and heavier because he knows. So.
But I think that's the education piece that we've all heard about,
Yeah.
right? Everybody got hung up around words like consolidation, right? Let's throw it out there. Everything I've heard from the community on my side was, we don't want to consolidate. But when they look at, if we continue doing the repairs we're doing, are we putting Band-Aids on something we're only going to be able to keep online for a few more years, right? Do we have to go building by building? What's the best case? And I think these tiers make sense. You are, without question, you go through tier 1, you're going to trigger tier 2. You're absolutely at that point going to trigger tier 3, right? We've all been in construction in one way or another in our lives, whether it's our home or something of that nature, where the moment you open a wall, now you're replacing plumbing, now you're replacing electrical because you didn't realize what's behind there. So it's, kitchens are a great example. It turns into an $80,000 project very quickly the moment you try to replace a sink. I think the education piece and the communication piece is critical, but I also want to make sure we err on the side of time.
Yeah.
Because we're going to start doing, water main repairs and all these other things. People are going to say, well, if we're spending money on that, why aren't we doing this? There needs to be more education to the community about the why. We need this now versus we can't wait, or we can wait for this. So I would err on the side of time if we're going to, these tiers are correct, 100% agreed. We're going to trigger a lot of them once we looked at 1, 2, and 3 and we bring it to the community. We need to educate them on the why. But then I would love to see us spend a lot of time walking them through, showing them the exact why. When you walk through Cutler for the first time and you take all of that in, you immediately know why. You know what we're dealing with maintenance-wise, age-wise. So it is going to trigger a lot of emotions again, but I would also err on the side of time, because we all know, like, gas is going up by the hour. Fuel trucks, just to ship material, is going to go up. So I would caution that if we're going to put the RFP together, we just are cautious on how quickly we do that, because that will greatly affect the cost of the project no matter what.
Does anybody else have anything else?
I just want to say, I thought this was going to be a light meeting.
Well, I think,
No one's cried yet.
not yet. Eric, do you feel like you need other things for us? Any other
The only thing
questions for
that
us?
I would ask is to review it and send me, Vinnie, or Curtis the feedback, because we're still refining it as well. We're trying to just make sure we're hitting all of the right things, if you will. Curtis has been digging in behind the scenes, trying to figure out the best approach and kind of what fits into which tier. So it is a difficult dynamic to nail down, given the variability within the buildings too. So if you can give us any feedback in the next week or so, we would appreciate it.
I do definitely want to reiterate too, on a not cynical note, that this is actually really well done. Trying to come up with a solution to this problem was, I didn't know how you were going to do it. And I mean, there's no perfect solution, but this is pretty damn good. So kudos to the three of you guys, really.
And I think from having been at those community conversations, it was pretty, clear that's some version of this is what people were looking for. All right. Next up is district goals, past and future, I think we're talking about.
Yep, and this is really not a long conversation. I just wanted to bring it back around to remind the committee. That was for you,
We can't
Dave.
sit next to each
That
other.
was for you.
We can't.
Wanted to bring it back around because this is the point in time when we look back at our goals that we set back in last June. If you go all the way back to when we first looked at the draft list, it was the last meeting in June of last year. We went forward in the summer. Leadership team worked on honing in on some tighter goals. Then it came to the process of the workshop with the school committee in August. And now we're here at the end of another school year with our document. So the process that's happening right now, just so people are aware, we're working on putting together the narratives for the current goals, which is why this one is on here, just a reminder of these are our current goals. So we're doing narratives through the leadership team and digging into that information, looking at kind of our end of year tests and timing it out. So we'll get that document on the last meeting of June, which is the 18th, I believe. And at the same time, we're planning the goals now for, excuse me, I'm incorrect. We'll get that document on the 4th for the end of year goals. On the 18th, we're planning that kind of list of, okay, what are the things that we all want to see in the goals? I pushed it to the 18th purposely because the 4th, you're also going to see the draft strategic plan. And a lot of the goals for the next school year will come from that plan, plus other things that we talk about that may come up. So I just wanted to give people kind of an idea of progression of what's going to happen over the next couple of meetings. So the district goals report will hit, that report will hit on the 4th, and then on the 18th, you'll see the planned goals for the following year, the 26-27 school year, that will align with the strategic plan.
So, I'm sorry, so on the 18th,
Yep.
we'll see, because at some point, the school committee is going to submit goals that'll happen in,
No, it's gonna, that's where I'm going next.
okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so as we did last year, I reached out outside of the meetings and asked committee members to give me ideas of goals. Like, what do you see as a committee member are goals that we should make sure that we absolutely put out there publicly. With the caveat being that there are all kinds of other goals that never make this list that we're working on throughout the year. So, some of them, as you know, I think we had a dozen, 12 or 14 last year that we started with in June, and we worked down to what we have here. Some of those other goals that didn't make the high priority list still got done because they had to. But it's just that I just wanted people to see the process. So what will happen is leadership team is both digging into the narrative writing right now and thinking about how to connect the strategic plan to the 26, 27 goals. I will send every committee member an individual document. It just says, okay, it's a form. Who you are, some thoughts, and then some ideas for goals. And hit submit, it'll come to me, we'll compile that, and on the 18th, we'll have a compiled list from the leadership team and people from the current committee that will align with the strategic plan.
And then on August 10, do we refine those? Or we
So
choose
we'll
what are
refine
going to be
them,
the
yep.
priorities?
Yeah, we'll refine them during the summer a little bit. We'll bring the draft to the committee,
Yeah.
get feedback then. The beauty of this year's being on the 10th, the 11th and 12th, the leadership team has their retreat. So we'll take it from there, give it a final push, clean up to make sure we have it for the 20th, I think, which is the first meeting of the 27 school year.
I don't know if this is what you're asking, but it does feel like, I think, maybe this is what you were getting, I think in the past we did, I don't know that, I feel like we submitted information, but I don't know that we sort of hashed it all out at the final meeting of the year. I think we maybe did that
Nope,
at the
no.
retreat before.
We did a
so-
carousel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the retreat,
At the
remember, we
retreat.
went
So
out in the
we're gonna
hallway?
do some things a little bit earlier.
Yeah, so we'll still do some type of activity to figure out where everybody wants to be, but
Yeah, but we're going to have done a little bit more
yeah, we just
beforehand.
trying
Okay,
to,
you
because
had
we
it-
have the
you had it
strategic plan.
prepared as to what we had submitted and what you had heard from us, and then we
And the
kind of
leadership
put our
team.
stickers on and
Yep.
determined what the priorities were.
Yeah. So we'll still do some of that work. You may be at a
But it'll be more
different
refined.
depth.
Yeah.
And we'll have
Maybe
the
a-
strategic plan to inform us
Yeah, that's
as
the
well.
that's the reason why.
I think
because
we
the
really need
strategic
that
plan.
before August 10, because I would, you
Yeah,
know.
well, the strategic plan is going to,
The strategic plan will drive more.
Yeah.
Because it's literally a compilation of,
I
the
can see
committee
it.
looked at all of the current strategic plan initiatives, dug out what really didn't get completed, shifted those in. So there's been a lot of work to try to
yeah.
maintain connections to the previous strategic plan. And I'll talk about that more at the next meeting, but we're just going to try to connect the dots for you, so it's a clear process all the way from now through August 20th.
Sounds good.
all right, thank you. All right, everybody ready to move on from that?
Yep.
Okay. Vinnie, do you have anything?
Thankfully, no, I don't.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you, that's wonderful. All right, let's do a quick rundown of committee reports. Capital Finance,
Benny is still trying to look for a date. I think I got back to you.
We're close.
So we're looking for a date for our next meeting in June.
all right, excellent. Policy,
Ooh, yes, I need to schedule a meeting.
okay,
New members, and that's it. I
okay,
will do that today. I will send an email.
okay, great. Negotiations, we are continuing to negotiate with the ESP union, and our next meeting is, somebody help me, is it not till the 9th?
Yeah, I think so. Let me go back, hang on.
Is
No,
that?
it's next week. Yeah. it's-
Tuesday?
it's
Oh, I'm
Tuesday.
sorry, it's
Next
just
week.
hidden, you're right.
Yep,
Yeah. Just hidden, I have it, don't worry.
26.
Yep, okay, 26, it's a Tuesday. Just too many things on that day, it was hidden. Okay, so yes, we're continuing to negotiate, and we'll meet next week. So I don't think we probably don't have a secretary report. I did put out to Tom, our new secretary, and
Yes, I saw
Julia,
that email.
that I'm hoping they're going to gather all executive session minutes so that the next executive session meeting, which will be before the end of the year, we can approve executive session minutes. Hoping that
Yes, I'll get them to
you
you.
guys will be able to do that.
I don't know how many we're missing.
Well, and I don't know, well, you'll need to go back
Yeah.
and look, because I think it's going to be several, I think it'll be. And they might
Janelle
not
can
be
help.
missing, they might be with Janelle and just needing to be approved.
Okay.
So we need to know how many haven't been approved.
How many haven't been approved? Okay.
Even though Janelle might have them, but they haven't been approved. So, yeah. Thank you for that. And then if you could also look at the various subcommittees and just on the website and just see which ones are missing.
Okay.
You're not responsible for fixing the problem that they're missing, but if you could let us know.
No problem.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so if you do that, and then I'll work with Janelle on the executive session minutes.
Perfect.
Okay. Amy, do you have anything from in our inboxes?
In our inboxes has been quiet, but I was wondering if we could change this agenda item to a communications working group update.
I was actually wondering, I think you guys are going to be on the agenda next time, and I actually thought about that it seemed like this would wrap right into that, so,
Yes.
yeah. So we'll just put it as
We will.
so next time you'll be on the agenda and we can discuss.
Great.
Yep. Yep.
This did not come to my school committee email address, but to my personal email address. A board member of the Hamilton Wenham Rotary reached out to me to share that the Hamilton Wenham Rotary will be honoring certain middle school students who will be receiving awards the morning of June 5th at 7:15 at Gordon College in Chester's Tavern, and folks are invited to come.
That's nice.
Very nice. And they're middle school students, correct?
They're middle
Yep.
school students that
Yes.
are
Very nice.
being recognized across like the 5 Rotary avenues of service, so.
That's cool.
Lovely. Thank you for letting us know.
Yeah.
That's great. And you said, and on the 6th, on the 5th?
The 5th at
June 5th.
7:15, yep.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, does anybody else have anything? I just have a couple.
One thing,
Yep,
sorry.
sure, go ahead.
I left it off mine and need to make sure it's out there. Friday, we annually have Bill Martin, who's retired Navy, I believe. He sets up a group of veterans from the Legion, local veterans, that takes the entire day to visit each of our schools and talk about Memorial Day, what Memorial Day means, talks about that at the various grade levels, starting at the high school and then working down through the middle. Then they visit each of the elementary schools. So there's usually 8 or 10 members from different military branches who come. They volunteer just to be there, to interact with the kids, answer questions. So if any of you get a chance to come, it's really a quick ceremony, but I think it's important for our kids to learn and understand about Memorial Day, and I applaud Bill for reaching out every year to say, okay, we're going to do it again this year, right? So we are doing it Friday throughout the day. Sorry.
No, thank you for bringing that up. It is great, and it's a big commitment to go to all the schools. It's great. Okay, I just had a couple of things on the chair report. I just wanted to, most of you probably saw it in your inboxes from the MASC. They did put out a position paper on the statewide, the interim graduation framework. I thought it was something, I have not dug into all of the minutia, but something to read. Just, I know Eric's been involved in some of that. So I don't know if you've read their position paper yet.
Which one, the MASC?
MASC, yeah.
Yeah, MASC and MASS have taken a similar position related to the graduation requirements that are coming out from the state. The superintendents have struggled to get their voice heard, and it's continued to just plow forward. I am on a subcommittee for the Graduation Requirements Council just to try to get some information. And the sticking point is really the reality of what it's going to cost us. So another government mandate that comes down, we're concerned that there'll be realities that we have to fund that won't be covered by anything from the state, other than we expect everybody to align with these graduation requirements. We expect everybody to use MyCap for college planning, and they're talking about pushing it all the way down into elementary school, which is, if you've read the position papers, but not something we would agree with. We agree with standards. We agree with keeping high standards in the state of Massachusetts. It's just a matter of making sure that we can do it and do it while we're all dealing with the same struggles of trying to pay the bills that we currently have in front of us. So the position papers are pretty good. I can send out the MASS one so you can all read it. And you'll probably see it a lot more in the next few weeks because it's due to be print out. The
Final report. It's
final report's
in
supposed to come out
sometime.
June,
Yeah, I don't
third
know.
week in June, I think.
Yeah, I just wrote down June.
Sure.
So, thank you for that.
I'd like to see that.
The only other thing I wanted to discuss is my understanding, I heard we have, so June 4th, we have a meeting on June 4th, which has got a lot of things on it, and I understand we're going to have a couple of members that aren't going to be here, so I just wanted to bring it to the committee to sort of figure out some of the logistics. So there's a lot of things on that meeting, but the one that I think we need to really discuss is that meeting we had planned. Huh?
Is the compilation.
Is the compilation. So that meeting is the meeting we have scheduled for the superintendent evaluation. The original plan was that the compilation, which is being created by Julia, and I'm
Yep.
pleased to say Julia received everyone's evaluation in a reasonably timely manner, which is great. So there's a couple things. One, Megan, who finished her term at the election, did write an evaluation, so we will need to invite her. If she chooses to come, she can participate in the conversation. She would not be able to vote, but she would be able to participate in the conversation. So I just want to that's part of the reason I want to make sure I know when we're discussing because we'll need to invite her. So the original plan was to have the compilation be presented on June 4th with a discussion and potentially a vote if there was, literally if there was no notes, but the idea being that, feedback provided, if anything, if the committee felt it needed editing, and then bring it back on the 18th, which is our final meeting of the year. But I understand that Julia, who's the compiler, is not going to be present on the 4th. And I understand that Kristen is also not going to be here on the 4th. So first, I guess we need to establish that we're going to have a quorum on the 4th, because that is a big meeting with a lot of things on it. So I don't know, speak now if other people feel like they're not going to be here on the 4th. So I guess I'm just I have thoughts, but let's put it out to the committee about what you want to do about the one item that I'm talking about, which is the evaluation.
Well, I'll still have it to you by June 1st, this was the plan.
Yeah. Are you comfortable? In other words,
Comfortable with you all having a discussion without me completely. I can watch the recording, of course, and I can read the minutes, or if you would rather people send individually their thoughts to me, then if we need to change it, if you vote and you say it's great, and that's great, but if it needs to be changed, I'm happy to do that and bring it back to the 18th
the
meeting?
18th.
So I'm happy to do that either way.
And so if you're going to be, in other words, if you're, one thing that could happen, I don't know what people think about that. That would mean we'd still have the discussion. We wouldn't have the person who compiled it.
Then you can maybe talk more frankly.
But but we'd have the document, So that's certainly a possibility.
I don't anticipate it being very controversial.
Right, you've seen the individual evaluations, so I don't know how much opportunity you've already had to review them.
Yeah, I don't anticipate there being a lot of controversy.
So, I guess, what you're saying is basically move forward,
If that's
with
what
notes.
we need to do, I don't want to keep Eric waiting on that,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's our responsibility to get this done, and we have to submit it, you know, in a timely manner. I actually
Are
don't.
you saying maybe hold it to the 18th?
That's our last.
We could vote on it on the 18th, but I wouldn't want the first time everyone sees it to
Okay.
be on the 18th. That's a concern for me, like that, because if people say, you know, no, this isn't what I want at all, I don't want us to be on the 18th, that it's the first time everybody's ever seen
Okay.
it. That's my concern.
Do we need to have an additional meeting or a special meeting for one agenda item? I don't know if that's permitted, but I just, if that addresses some of the concern. I'm not necessarily looking for all of us to have one more meeting, but I
mean, that's
that could
up to the
be-
committee. I mean, it's up to you, like, what you
We can
think.
still submit feedback to the compiler outside of the meeting, like
Yes.
individual feedback. So I think everybody, even if you're not here, you'll have the opportunity to give feedback as long as you're okay with not
We're doing it in writing.
discussing it. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And,
I mean, it will
and you
be,
can all just vote yes. on it.
That.
Or you can give feedback, whichever
right.
you would
And
like.
I mean, and there's also some in between, right? In other words, like, a couple of things. It'll be on the agenda, out publicly, with a big draft watermark on it, and everyone
We can read it in
could,
advance.
you could read it in advance, you could, like, in other words, let's just say hypothetically, Kristen knows she's not gonna be here, and she's gonna say, hey, Julia, just feedback, like, this was right, except on page 3, there's a,
Yeah.
you know, a quote that's actually from me, and that wasn't exactly right, like, you know, like, whatever. So that would be feedback, you'd have, like, concrete feedback. I mean, I guess, I don't know.
I get it.
Because I
Like-
get back on the 5th, so that's, so, like, there's no issue with time to, like, I can revise it.
Before the 18th. if
Before
they're-
the
right.
18th.
Well, so maybe, I mean, I'm just going to say, maybe does it make sense to keep it the way it is with the anticipation that if there's anything that comes up and needs to be discussed, then we would vote on the 18th. If everyone just says this is,
Yeah. I think
That's
that
a good
makes
plan.
sense.
right, and it would allow Megan to come on the 4th. I can invite her, I mean, she anticipates coming on the 4th, I think, but and she can't vote anyway, so, you know, she can discuss.
Should
though.
everyone submit to you their evaluation?
No, I think they've already submitted it to you.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
isn't it all public? Where does it go?
Not yet. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
Right.
Will be.
It will
Oh,
be.
until
but
it's
not-
voted on.
Right, not
Okay,
until it's voted on,
I didn't know that
right.
part. Okay.
Right, that's why only one, like, that's why you're the only one that's seen them all.
I'm the only
We
one that's
haven't-
seen them.
right,
Okay.
Exactly. Right, everybody else has only seen their own.
Okay.
So, okay, do we feel like we got that done? We'll just leave it as is with the understanding that people, including Megan, can send you information if she has questions or comments, I guess. Okay, and I will make sure that she knows that she's invited. Okay, thank you. All right, does anyone have topics for future meetings, or questions first for me? No? Topics for future meetings? We got a lot on the next couple of
There's a
meetings.
lot coming.
So,
Be ready.
anything? All right,
Not right now.
all right, unless anybody's got anything else, I would entertain a motion.
I move to adjourn.
At,
At
8:34.
8, yeah.
second.
All right, second by Julia Campbell. All those in favor? We are adjourned at 8:34.